Hi, boys and girls. Have you ever heard of the Twin Towers? In 1974, a man named Philippe Petit gained fame when he walked between two towers on a thin wire above thousands of onlookers. This was an unauthorized walk, and he was later arrested. His charges were dropped. Question for you. Why would it have been illegal to walk between two towers? Another question. Do you believe that others should have the right to determine for you what risky activities you can participate in? This book, The Man Who Walked Between the Towers, was written by and illustrated by Mordecai Gerstein. He actually had the privilege of seeing some of Philippe Petit's street performances, although didn't actually see the walk between the towers. This book won the Caldecott Award in 2004. As I'm reading this picture book, I'd like you to think about words that you would use to describe Philippe Petit. These words can be known as character traits. Character traits can be determined by things that people say, their actions, what they think, and what they feel. Let's read The Man Who Walked Between the Towers. Once there were two towers side by side. They were each a quarter of a mile high, 1,340 feet, the tallest buildings in New York City. Visualize that. How tall were those buildings? A young man saw them rise into the sky. He was a street performer. He rode a unicycle. He juggled balls and fiery torches. But most of all, he loved to walk and dance on a rope he tied between two trees. He looked not at the towers, but at the space between them and thought, what a wonderful place to stretch a rope, a wire on which to walk. Once the idea came to him, he knew he had to do it. If he saw three balls, he had to juggle. If he saw two towers, he had to walk. That's how he was. Can you make a text-to-self connection? Has there ever been something that you just knew you needed to do? Hadn't he danced on a wire between the steeples of Notre Dame Cathedral above his amazed home city, Paris? Why not here, between these towers? Character traits, how would you describe this man? Of course he knew that, as in Paris, the police and the owners of the towers would never allow it. You must be crazy, they would say. You'd fall for sure. And so Philippe, that was the young man's name, began a plan to do it secretly. The buildings are not quite finished, he thought. Maybe if I dressed as a construction worker. A construction worker? Why would he have to dress like a construction worker? Early on an August evening, he and a friend entered the South Tower. They got a 440-pound reel of cable and other equipment into the elevator, took it to the unfinished top 10 floors, and waited till nightfall when everyone had gone. Then they carried everything up 180 stairs to the roof. At midnight, on the other tower's roof, two more friends tied a thin, strong line to an arrow and shot it across to Philippe, 140 feet away. It missed and landed on a ledge 15 feet below the roof. Bad luck, thought Philippe. He crawled down the ledge, over the sparkling city, and got the arrow. Character trait. To its line, he tied a stronger line, which his friends pulled back to their tower. To his end of the stronger line, Philippe tied the cable on which he would walk. It was 5/8 of an inch thick. And maybe at home, maybe someone at home can show you how big 5/8 of an inch would be. His friends pulled the cable over to their tower, but it was so heavy that it slipped from Philippe's grip. The cable's middle plummeted toward the street, pulling the friends on the other tower to the very edge. Philippe, just in time, secured his end. It took 3 hours to pull the cable back up. Frantically, as the stars faded, they tightened it between the towers. It was past dawn before they were ready. Philippe put on his black shirt and tights. He picked up his 28-foot balancing pole. 28-foot balancing pole. I'm just over 5 feet myself. A 28-foot pole that he had to hang on to? Visualize that. All his life he had worked to be here, to do this. As the rising sun lit up the towers, out he stepped, out onto the wire. Out to the very middle he walked, as if he were walking on the air itself. Many winds whirled up from between the towers, and he swayed with them. He could feel the towers breathing. He was not afraid. He felt alone and happy and absolutely free. How would you feel walking way up above? A woman coming from the subway might have been the first to see him. Look, someone's walking on a wire between the towers. Everyone stopped and looked up. They gasped and stared. It was astonishing. It was terrifying and beautiful. A quarter of a mile up in the sky, someone was dancing. Police saw it too. Officers rushed to the roofs of the towers. "You're under arrest!" they shouted through the bullhorns. And when I read this, I was thinking, they shouted? What if they would have scared him and he would have fallen? Philippe turned and walked the other way. Who would come and get him? For almost an hour, back and forth, he walked, danced, ran, and knelt in a salute upon the wire. He even lay down to rest. The city and harbor spread beneath him. The sky surrounded him. Seagulls flew under and over. As long as he stayed on the wire, he was free. Where do you feel most free? When he felt completely satisfied, he walked back to the roof and held out his wrists for the handcuffs. They brought him to court. The judge sentenced him to perform in the park for the children of the city. This he did happily. Though during his performance, some boys playing on his wire jerked it and Philippe fell, but caught himself. Now the towers are gone. But in memory, as if imprinted on the sky, the towers are still there. And part of that memory is the joyful morning, August 7th, 1974, when Philippe Petit walked between them in the air. What character traits did you come up with for Philippe? Did you say that he was courageous, brave, risky, adventurous, bold, daring, creative? Thanks for reading The Man Who Walked Between the Towers with me. Have a great day.